General Andrews,
And the Dream Stream presents Rapid Runs!
Nice. Favorite people on Twitch. I like them a lot.
That sounds like I need to stream more. So
Yes. Yeah. The whole
my
point
last
of
stream
this-
was like a year ago.
Yeah. We learned Battle Kids specifically to bop sidetracked again. Like
Yeah,
we're trying to bop all this time to bring him back.
it will eventually work. It just hasn't. It's so busy. Life is so hard. So. The crazy thing with this, so you're gonna play on hard mode. So hard, you only have 50 continues. You have no passwords, so you can't ever restart with this. And everything in this game is one-hit KO. So there's no, like, you're not taking damage. You're restarting. And depending on what Dave does, he is going to. You can skip checkpoints in order to go faster, but it means that when you die, you go back further. So. Some of this is going to be detrimental to speed, depending on when he dies. That's the quick and easy version of it. Dave, whenever you're ready, go ahead and start.
All right. Good luck and thank you again for the commentary. And yeah, I'll mute myself. So
Good luck, man.
thank you.
You're gonna need it.
I know. Help me.
Even 50 continues, I'm like, oh, is that a good idea? All right, so whenever there we go. He's off to the races. Normally, timing for the actual speed run starts when you take control right after this cutscene, which will be now. Perfect. So there's right out the beginning. There's really nothing kind of going on here. So like, kind of the main mechanics of this is it's a very Mega Man style, like platforming game. So. It's a lot of one-screen puzzles. It's a lot of... so you only have 3 bullets that are allowed to be on screen at the same time, and then this is also kind of mixed with a little bit of a Metroidvania and a little bit of I Want to Be the Guy, where it's difficult platforming, one-hit kills, tight corridors. Like, everything that he's doing looks really easy here, but normally on a casual playthrough it'd take you probably about 10-15 minutes to even figure out how to get up here or where to go. But the first little bit of this is actually not too bad. He should be able to make it to the first boss within about 2 minutes and 15 seconds, quite honestly. And this is like literally like this is fine. This is super easy. A lot of what he does is you brush up against a wall to like start your timing so that everything lines up. I'm actually curious how he's going to do the next screen. That is gross, the way that he handled that. So there's 2 things going on with Battle Kid at all times, where you go fast by doing incredibly risky strats like what he just did, jumping ahead into a screen from the previous screen, completely ignoring a guy and jumping in between bullets. And then another part where you're just not dying. So with every speed run of this so I'm in 3rd place. Oh, you're gonna skip that. That's not a choice, but it's like, that's a choice. We'll see how he does. This boss is entirely on a pattern with the thorns that he throws out, and then the little like spike that pops up through the platform is tracking your X movement. Perfect. That was an amazing fight. You're gonna get like a 210 split, 211 there. Perfect. So 214. That's an amazing first split after the first boss. So the only reason he went back there, normally in a speedrun you wouldn't do that, but it's because everything is saved by the checkpoints. If he died, he'd have to refight that, not only that boss again, but he'd go all the way back to the beginning. And he shouldn't die before the next checkpoint, but it's always like a thing that might happen. Because there's another checkpoint. Oh, you're skipping it. Yeah, no, alright. So there's like a fast snail strat there that's just absolutely ridiculous, and I don't go for it. I know I saw Dave going for it, and the top 2 runners of this game were like, dude, what are you doing? Because it's crap. It saves like 2 seconds. I don't actually know how much time it saves. So the other thing with this game is you're constantly like jumping into and starting a lot of stuff, like transitioning in between screens. So like when Dave just jumped and fell back down out of that screen, that was him trying to set up something that he wasn't... Like, when you just ever so slightly miss something, you kind of just need to restart the screen and start it up again. The caveat... Oh, there we go! And this is where taking checkpoints is really, really helpful, but also the fact that he skipped 2 of them means he just lost a lot of time. And he's confused, and he doesn't know where to go. So, everything from getting the high jump on, or honestly, everything after the first boss, he has to redo it. Because the checkpoint that he last took, the only one that he took, was after he beat the first boss. There's a checkpoint just into the right here that he staunchly refuses to take, even though it'd be a great idea to do it in a marathon, but he is, like, incredibly stubborn that way. So we're just going to kind of revisit a little bit of stuff here. So the big thing with Battle Kid, and this is one of the things that actually makes it a really fun speedrun, is there is very, very, very little RNG. There's only RNG in, I think, 3-4 bosses at most, and most of them, unless you're literally gunning for the world record time, they don't really matter. The big thing is not going out of your way for your checkpoints and not dying, and that will get you a really, really, really good time. So Dave, as an example, if he is able to complete a run without dying, without going out of his way for a checkpoint, he will easily take 3rd place in this. And then you have to kind of push a little bit harder if you want to beat Rich and Spiriax, who are the top 2 runners of this game and have absolutely decimated it for anybody else involved. So the other part of Battle Kid is every screen, there is no RNG on an individual screen. Everything is predeterministic. And if you, at any point, don't remember what screen's coming up, and you have to look at it and then restart it, then you can, and you're gonna see Dave do this, where he enters a screen and he'll go, "Oh, that's what this screen is." And then he'll exit the screen, and then he'll enter it again, and the screen starts from the same point every time. So there's no risk of missing a cycle or like screwing up your RNG or anything like that. It's literally just treat each screen. You can preempt your way into each one. So like that one there, he missed the cycle that he wanted to make. He forgot to jump before entering the screen, or sorry, after entering the screen, so that he could hit a fan cycle so that he could skip a cycle with the fan. Doesn't matter what happened there. But because he missed it, he can quickly exit, re-enter the screen, and then restart it and barely lose any time. He lost like maybe a second, if anything. So there's a lot of stuff going on with Battle Kid, but none of it is really that scary, other than the fact that, oh, that was I love that strat that you just did, Dave, of like jumping over the eye guy there. I don't do that in my runs. It's incredibly risky. Because it's really easy to accidentally take damage. So, okay. So, all that being said, I think I've preambled enough here leading into some of this stuff. Everything up until the second boss is pretty kind of free. Like, there's nothing super difficult going on here. And Dave is on the last section before the second boss, which is called Owlbot. So he's got... Ooh! There we go, but thankfully he just took a checkpoint there. Which actually, like, that doesn't waste a lot of time. It's like 15 seconds. So, okay. So, all of that being said, I'm sorry to everyone for coming into this a little bit late. But now that I've loaded chat, hopefully, if anyone has any questions, now would be a great time to ask them. Okay, perfect. So... So Dave's in a little bit, this entire section is just kind of like timed Yoku blocks. If you know the Yoku blocks from like the original series Mega Man games. Where you're kind of just following the pattern of when these blocks pop into existence and when they don't. And there's nothing difficult here, but it likes to try and troll you. That was an amazing jump. Dave is skipping that checkpoint because Owlbot here as long as you get in this position and you pay attention to one spot, which is the top little, I don't know what you want to call it, chute, where the birds shoot out, that is the only thing that can damage you if you stand in that one spot. The laser won't hit you, the rings won't hit you, the birds won't hit you coming out the bottom. Owlbot is super easy to beat. Okay. So, that all being said, he's going to go back to take this checkpoint, even though he doesn't really need to. He chooses to, because it wastes time, and Dave loves to do nothing else but waste time, because there's only one thing that can kill him between the next checkpoint. And granted, it's a slightly difficult jump. We will see what happens. Oh, you know what? Dave, wise choice taking that checkpoint. You're a brilliant man, Dave. This is kind of like the thing with Battle Kid is deciding what checkpoints are valuable to take, like one right after a boss like that, versus ones that you can skip, because he just skipped another checkpoint there that he could have taken if he wanted to skip going back for a checkpoint. So if he hadn't died, he could have saved himself like 10 seconds. But thankfully, he made the right choice. So, and I know, I did say, Chromogram, that Dave is a genius. I'm very sorry that those words were uttered into other people's ears, because I would never want to dissuade someone from thinking that Dave was a genius, but he is. So now that I have an opportunity, I'm actually going to look at chat and see what's going on here. So Imagine Nico. So what is this on? So originally, Battle Kid was a NES homebrew game developed by Civac Games. It came out in, I think, 2010 or 2011, something like that. But actually, recently, within the last year, Civac has, with partnerships with a couple of different publishers, released this game on both Xbox and the Nintendo Switch. So if you're ever interested in running this game, I recently purchased the Nintendo Switch version. I think it came out a month ago. Don't quote me on that, but it came out about a month ago. So if you want to play this game, you don't need to have a homebrew NES. You don't need to pick up anything super expensive. You don't even need to run it on an emulator. It is available on Nintendo Switch, and if I remember right, it's on Xbox Series X and S. Not sure if it's available on Xbox One, but they are working on like actively promoting this into the next gen consoles as indie downloads. I think they cost $9.99 to download, something like that. Okay, so quickly going to look through, see if there's anything else here. Now that I'm Dave's just kind of like moving in between two levels here. There's nothing super stressful coming up at the moment. Why does Dave only run pain? Because he's a masochist. Where is Dave going? Does Dave know? No, he doesn't. Because he's going backwards. So I don't know if you can hear me, Dave, but yeah, you thought you were at a different level. You need to go up and then to the right to start the, I don't know what they call it, but like to get to the color drome. That's what I call it. So, a lot of stuff that he's doing right here, where it's you can kind of see him bumping up against edges or jumping into something and slowing himself down. A lot of it is just to kind of like set up the timing for things. So he's going to go up here, literally enter and leave that screen, and depending on how fast your refresh rate was, you might not even have seen that, but what he did was he activated a warp point that he's going to use in about 30 minutes if he's lucky. 40 minutes if he's unlucky. And then now we're into, I can't remember what they call this actual area, but it's like the Color Mancer area. So all of these different colored mages, for lack of a better term, they have different attacks that they're using. So the pink ones have like a sine wave, like Medusa's head attack. There's a green one that has it tracks you like the plant boss. spikes did. And then the blue ones shoot like an arrow out at you super fast. Oh, wow, that was... When Dave gets all of his strats in a run, it's going to be amazing. But until that point, he's going to die a lot. So, this is actually one of the most notorious sections of Battle Kid, where he's doing like these time spike sections. Depending on how loud your volume is, you can kind of hear this like boop, 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 shh, that's going on that tells him when he's allowed to move. You can skip 2 or 3 of these. It's really difficult to do. But for the most part, it's just timed movement that we're going through. So actually, for Dave, this is a super concentrated area, but for viewers, it's kind of just like, yeah, whatever. So, what else is coming up here? Jafar James, good strats are good strats. Absolutely. This is a game where the better your strats are, the better time you're going to get, but the less likely you are to complete a run. So he's going to run to the left here to get a checkpoint. Nothing crazy's coming up here. It's just a few screens of... See, that there, he went backwards to... He looked at the screen and he went, oh, okay, cool, that's what this screen is. Unloaded, reloaded the screen, and then was able to know what strat he had to do. And then coming through the rest of this, he's totally fine. Until he got shot there, but that's his own fault. But you're actually not that far back. You only lost about 3 screens, Dave. You're all good. So this game at the top level, the top, I believe, 3 runs for sure. I actually think the top 4 runs are all run on unfair difficulty. So the game, as you've seen, is 1-hit kills. Unfair difficulty is no checkpoints, no continues. So you have to beat the entire game, which is about 40 minutes if done really well, without taking a hit, without dying, without spiraling, and knowing all of the RNG points, and without making any mistakes. So old school Richard is the world record holder in this game, and he demolishes it, and it's ridiculous. Spiriax is second place. Him and Richard had an incredibly spirited world record trade-off for a couple of years, about 4 or 5 years ago. I'm in third place with a... Oh, Dave, you're struggling. Oh, I'm so sorry, Dave. Well, Dave runs through the same 4 screens over and over again. I'll just kind of give you a little bit of the history here. I'm in third place with a deathless run of, I believe, 40 minutes and change. And if Dave ever completes a deathless run of this game, he'll probably get a run around 38, 39 minutes. And that is the difference between not dying and not dying with the best strats. Everyone else after that either has really slow strats or they died along the way. So to run this game, you have to be both really good, really consistent, get really good RNG, and you have to not go out of your way for checkpoints. Like the checkpoint that he just took, that's wasted time. Can't go for that. We have another good spike section here where Dave has to concentrate super, super hard, but we just kind of have to look at it and go, wow, oh, wow, Dave, dude, falling into the spikes. Come on, Dave. Yeah, there's little stuff where, for example, the way he just fell in between those 2 spiraling enemies there, where it looks like you're kind of just doing whatever, but it's a really tight timing that he's doing in order to actually make it in between those dudes without dying. Same with these spike sections. I will let him kind of just focus on that while I look at some other things here. So, yeah, what Pandu, a mod for Rockman? That's essentially what this is. It's kind of a love letter to that style of 2D platformer. It has if you're playing on the original, the NES homebrew version, it has incredibly tight controls. It feels really good, and it's difficult and challenging without ever feeling super unfair, unless you're playing on unfair difficulty, which is Absolute crap. And then olives and pickles. I love olives. I love pickles, and they belong on everything. I'll just put that out there. K3, 0 deaths incoming. I mean, clearly not, but watching Battle Kid played completely deathless, especially watching someone do it for the first time, is one of the most adrenaline-inducing things, because there's so much that can kill you, and with the strats that Dave goes for, a lot of little things that really, really pile up. So, okay. He's actually coming up to the first RNG point of the game here, which is Chloe. Chloe has 6 different attacks that she can do. Ideally, we want to get pink or red. That's totally fine. Green's about the worst because you have to kind of like walk away from her. Pink, if you stand in the right spot, you can just like mash her down. Totally fine. But she has 6 different attacks. They all have different patterns. There's an RNG element to it where, depending on the attacks you get, you can either like 1.5 cycle her, or it'll take 3 cycles to beat her. Pink is actually ideal, but Dave doesn't know how to deal with it. Green is about the worst you can get. Blue's okay. Purple's fine. But ideally you would like to get pink and red, or pink and yellow. Something like that. So Dave's going to go back for this checkpoint here, and he's going to waste about 10 seconds doing that, even though there's nothing that can kill him coming up, because all he's going to do is grab the feather and then float down. But Dave loves to save time on stupid strats and waste time on simple things. Ooh! There you go. There's a checkpoint just bottom left. Nothing to really kill him there. Barely anything to kill him here now that he has the feather. And then he's going to pop down, and we're going to go back into the water section to go on to level 4. Yeah, he's already activated that that teleporter, but he's going to do it again just in case. And actually, now that I've made fun of Dave, I don't know if he activated that teleporter because he might have died after activating it, which deactivates it. So now that he's got the feather, he can get past these kind of spike sections here, and we're going to go to... I don't actually know what the level's called. I call it Frog Tower. It might be called like Waterfall something, Waterfall Tower. Something like that. But this is one of those... This is where the run really starts to amp up, is this water section. Because these snails shoot you on sight, you're moving slowly within the water, you're moving around spikes and tight corridors, like that first pink ball skip that he did was ridiculous. The second one clearly didn't work. Yeah, and this is where you have to kind of make the choice between, Ooh, that was really smooth. Do you go super fast and try and skip stuff but risk dying? Or do you take it a little bit slower but not die and not have to go back to any previous checkpoints? And Dave kind of had, currently with his level of knowledge, has a little bit of both going on. Yeah, he's also got, if you see the countdown number timer at the top of the screen, that's his oxygen level. If he runs out of oxygen, he also dies. So he should pop out of the water here. Yeah, that's a good choice. Just take a checkpoint. You're already popping out. Refesters your oxygen. You shouldn't run into any problems now. Again, top level speed runs, you would completely skip that. Everything else from here should be pretty free and easy. I'm sorry I'm missing so many comments, but like, this is one of those games where there's so much going on screen, and I wish I could cover everything. Because there's all these little things that Dave's doing in order to stay ahead. Like letting go of the float mechanic to get down a little bit faster, jumping out ahead, activating both of those guys rather than taking it slow, floating down ahead of that ball, which was absolutely ridiculous and like an amazing strat that I've never seen before. Yeah, that was one where he loaded and reloaded the screen because it's like, well, I don't remember what's coming up. So let me just quickly take a look. okay, this is what I have to do. Go back, reload, and now I remember where I am. He's going to go to the left here, get a checkpoint, and now we're starting level 4. And if you'll give me 2 seconds, I just need to quickly just go and use the washroom. So listen to what is personally my favorite soundtrack in the entire game, and watch Dave decimate Frog Tower. So 2 seconds, I'll be right back. Oh, you're in the washroom. Can I get in there really quick, Dave?
Go for gold. I got hungry. Want to eat any of your sausage? Well,
Okay, so I missed the entirety of Frog Tower. I'm sorry about that, but we're now getting into. So this boss is called Negaconda. Most of the bosses in this game don't. Actually, about 50% of the bosses in the game don't have any RNG. And this is a boss that doesn't have any RNG, so if Dave does the same thing every time, then Dave should be able to beat this boss the same way every time. You can only damage Negaconda when their mouth is open. The bubbles come out in this sine wave pattern the same way every time. And the only thing that's really different is where the bottom water spout, I guess, for lack of a better word, tracks you to. But it's the same as the plant boss, where it just kind of tracks your X position and then shoots up. Dave's going to waste many sections going back here, because although there's literally nothing that can kill him, if he just knows where the next save point is, which is right... Again, no enemies, no hazards to the left. There you go. But it's totally fine. Wasted 10 seconds. It's all good. We got lots of time. Sorry. One of my favorite things to do is make fun of Dave. So, all that being said, he's actually like absolutely killing this game. Like, other than a couple of like tiny little hiccups here and there, this is a really, really good showcase of what makes Battle Kids such an amazing speedrun. I literally went to pee for like a minute and he decimated a level. It's probably the best he played the entire time I was here. So, and also the one frog that he just killed that also kind of like messed up his positioning is probably the scariest frog in the game. It has this weird way of jumping through that hole, but also carrying momentum and sniping you where you don't expect him to be. Went to the wrong warp point, Dave. Yep, go back. There you go. You got it figured out. You're fine. So whenever you saw him go into a room and then quickly leave, and it had that little spiraling purple door, that's a warp point that he was activating so that he could come back to it later. So the number 2 warp point was so that after the Frog Tower, he could come back. Yep, you're all good. Go to number 2. Perfect. After the frog tower, he could come back, warp to warp point 2. We're going back into the water section, but now he picked up the infinite oxygen tank. So now there's a water maze that he can go through that he couldn't do before. And this is the only section of the game that you need the infinite oxygen tank for. It is the entire purpose of going into level 4. If we could find a way to skip this section and the key that you get at the end of it, then we could probably cut out like 6 minutes of gameplay here. There you go, go to the left. And this is an entire underwater maze that he has to go through. Other than a couple of small spike sections, there is literally nothing that can hurt him here. This is entirely meant to waste 90 seconds of time so that you don't come to this area too early. So, if you have any questions, you have about a minute to get them in where it literally does not interrupt any gameplay whatsoever. Alright, just going to quickly kind of look back over here.
We appreciate you giving me directions, sir. I got lost a couple of times, so thank you for that.
It's because you revisit the same areas like 2 or 3 times in a couple of spots in this game, it is really easy to like not remember where you are. Where it's like, oh, I'm at this point, my muscle memory tells me I have to go left, but you don't do that yet, you go right first and then go left later. Like, genuinely, that's kind of like the Metroidvania trap of this. And I'm glad that I'm actually helping Dave, even if I'm throwing you under the bus. Okay, so... Holy wow. So, I'm gonna go back a little bit here, but DOS Postman, thank you for all of the gift subs to literally everybody. I know it's not my channel, but you deserve a shout out for that. General Andrews, hardest part about learning this game? Honestly, it's figuring out which strats you want to go for. Nothing in this game is super difficult once you learn it. Like, learning it is hard, and Dave's about to die. Yep, there you go. Because he needed to shoot like 2 bullets when he enters the screen, which he hasn't learned how to do yet, but he'll get there. He'll be fine. By the time you've learned how to beat every boss, you know their patterns and you know how to deal with them. By the time you've beaten the game 2 or 3 times, Dave's going the totally wrong direction, so I have lots of time to talk about this. He's going to take this checkpoint, he doesn't need to, he's in the totally wrong section of the level. Yeah, he's going to go back now. He's going to go down and to the left. He's going to go up and to the left. He's going to beat these guys, and then I can't remember if it's you continue left or you go up and left, but yeah, totally wrong section. Once you know how to beat this game consistently, there is nothing difficult about it. From a speedrunning aspect, what's difficult is, yep, down, left, towards level 5. There you go. Beat the one guy, and then there should be a checkpoint after these crushers. The difficult part is remembering where to go and how fast of strats you want to go for. So some of what Dave does is incredibly advanced strats, where you're doing really tight movements to save 2 or 3 seconds. Ultimately, depending on what your leaderboard goals are, to get into the top 2, you have to go absolutely crazy. To get into the top 3, you have to beat the game deathless. To get into the top 4 or 5, you don't even need to be deathless, you just need to be okay. But the hardest part about learning this game is learning what safe strats are, learning what you can skip, and then learning, I guess, a little bit of the patterns, but that's like step 3, quite honestly. The big thing is just how do you beat each screen individually in the fastest way possible that makes you comfortable. Yeah. The hardest part about running this, honestly, is just beating it deathless as more and more adrenaline starts building up. The first and only time I've beaten this game deathless No, I've beaten it deathless twice. Sorry. I've beaten it deathless twice, but the first time I've beaten it deathless, just dealing with the adrenaline as you get deeper into a run, and realizing and knowing that it could fail at any moment, and getting past that anxiety and those nerves, that's the hardest part. Because you want to save time, but at a point, saving time means... Ooh, that was a great recovery, Dave. But you get to a point where you're so deep into the run that you can't lose all of your strats in your practice, but if you get off rhythm at all, you'll lose the run. That's the hardest part, quite honestly. Everything else, if you look at it individually by screen, nothing is that difficult in this game. The difficulty comes from everything put together all at the same time. And even if we're looking at Dave as I'm making fun of him, he's only died, I think, 10 times, if that. Like, this is actually a really, really good run. Like, as much as I love to make fun of him, this is actually a really good run that most people would have to work 20, 30, 40 hours in order to be able to replicate something like this. The sea horse turrets, this is another RNG point. The only RNG is the order in which they shoot their bullets, and they always start top left. What order do they start? Top left, top right, bottom right, if I remember correctly. So the first 4 shots are always the same, and then everything's random after that. So you can kind of build up a little bit of strategy of take out the entire right side, and then you're good to go. He just got the double jump, which is going to help him get into Area 6. He's going to save there, because I know that in one of his recent runs he forgot to do that. And this just starts to open up so many movement opportunities of what you can or can't do in order to dodge some of these enemy attacks. So these screens where he, on his way out, on his way in, he had to stop, carefully take care of enemies. Now that he has the double jump, he can just run right past them, divert their attention to the side, jump past them, and just blitz all the way back to the beginning of this section here. Alright. What am I wearing? Track pants and a t-shirt. A really sweat-stained t-shirt. So Dave told me this started 10 minutes from now. So I got home from work. I have not eaten dinner yet. I'm about 2 drinks into my evening. So you're getting the best of what you're gonna get here. My wife is also commenting in the back, but we're fine. Shout out for General Andrews here, one sec, because we are in his channel, and he is always graciously hosting a lot of these amazing events to showcase these really, esoteric, weird platformers of leaderboards that only have 5 or 6 people on them, even though they're amazing games like Battle Kid. So, General Andrews says we have 2 fundraisers going on, Rupert 83 and the Smoky fundraiser, and Gaming Speedrun's BR Teachers Scholarship Fund, which is only $164 away from its goal. So if you can give anything to these fundraisers, if you haven't already, please do, because all of these things just promote an amazing sense of community, which is what I love the speedrunning community for. DOS Postman says, I'm taking extra time on General's questions to not answer yours. Yes, because you ask me weird things like what I'm wearing, and then my wife questions my choice of hobbies. I don't know if you could hear her there. And if you could, then yeah.
Your wife's great.
Anyways.
Boys. Or girls.
Yeah.
Or all the betweens.
I can't tell how much of that is getting picked up, but I hope at least portions of it were. So this is actually my favorite section that Dave's into, and this is the Amethyst Caverns. I don't know, something about the vibe in here and the music and the soundtrack and just everything combined. This is one of my favorite areas here. And it also has like these little things where if you know what's coming up... Oh, that was a choice, Dave. If you know what's coming up, you can kind of like really blitz through this really smoothly. So things like triggering that guy, running super fast through here. You always have to take a quick pause here. But then for the next section, you just have to do a tiny little wiggle. You can run through. You just immediately run into the screen and you'll dodge everything. Following that, jumping there was a choice. That's not the way I do it. But everything about this, if done properly, which Dave is not doing properly, but everything about this, if done properly, is really smooth. Really, it feels amazing to beat. I actually wish this section and the ideas in it were a little bit longer. And I know Sivak himself has commented on that. Now that my weird ramblings are done, if you look up Sivak Games, I always say Sivak or Sivak. I kind of jump between the two. I don't know which one is appropriate. He streams on Twitch quite regularly, and he's always a great stream to catch. Oftentimes he's either kind of play testing or just quickly running through Battle Kid on the different ports he's doing. He also has long plays on his YouTube channel of like developer commentary where he talks about a lot of his thought processes developing this game from about 8 years ago. If you're enjoying what you're seeing right now and you want to get more of a developer aspect of it, he does a really good job of connecting with the community, and I would highly recommend looking into what he puts out. So this is another one of the RNG bosses here. It only has four attack patterns, but the order that the patterns come in are random. They'll never repeat themselves, but you never know what you're going to get. And again, speedrunners, there's always a fastest pattern versus a slowest pattern. The fact that Dave just beat that without dying, that's a really easy boss to die on. So that was actually amazingly done. I will give you props, Dave. You did a really good job there. He's going to go back and take this checkpoint. This one is actually, as much as I love to crap on him, is worthwhile because dying after you beat that boss, it's really easy to death spiral there, and you've got a couple of really tight jumps coming up, like that one there, where if you miss one of those jumps, you're going to get sniped. And then this one here, see, and you could see that he kind of just messed himself up there. You're going to take the checkpoint there, that's a good idea. Is this the way I go? Where are you going? Alright, you know what, that's fine. I'll allow it. I actually, now that I've said that, I don't remember what way I go, because if you run 100% versus any percent, which is what Dave was running, it's a different route. So, I won't comment, but if you happen to die on your way to the end game here, it's like, it sucks having to fight the angel boss again. Alright, so now that I've ignored more of DOS Postman's things, let's see what else they have to say. I definitely won't be doing that one, Chromagon. Oh, perfect, that's actually good to know. So, you know what, DOS Postman? So, this is great, thank you so much. Reminder to everybody that they're adding extra to the donations through subs and bits. So, perfect. If you're thinking about subbing, if you're thinking about donating bits, if you're thinking about donating at all, highly recommend it. It's always worthwhile supporting the charity. $5, $2, whatever you can give, doesn't matter. Everything is appreciated. What are you doing, Dave? I love the fact that Dave will do the ballsiest strats to save half a second, and then backtrack on himself and waste a second on something super simple. Sorry, now that I'm done crapping on Dave. So we're now into, if we're going with the Mega Man analogy, this is kind of like the Wily's Fortress of Battle Kid, where we're revisiting a lot of the ideas now that we have fully upgraded and equipped items. where we're doing the flashing spike section again. We're doing a lot of falling and puzzle management stuff again. We're doing a lot of double jump and floating stuff, and just kind of making sure that you're comfortable with all of your equipment leading into the end of the game. Because what we're going to do in about a minute, provided Dave doesn't spiral, is they're going to take all of these items away, and we're going to have to revisit and reclaim all of our items in a different order than we had originally achieved them. So, nothing super crazy there. When you're actually playing it, those spike sections are super tense, but watching it, it's like, oh, this is whatever, but you have to listen to the beat, you have to listen for... If you're off by about half of a second, you will die on those screens. So the fact that Dave is both listening to the beat there, listening to me ramble, and playing super well, kudos to Dave. Everything else here, nothing super crazy is going on. I've watched him do this strat on those two puffer fish many times. I don't understand what he's doing. I don't know if he understands what he's doing, but he'll probably die again. There it is. This is one where going for the fastest strat is saving him frames but costing him seconds. Yeah. What I would recommend that he does, wink wink nudge nudge, is stand underneath the right one, kill the left one, and then wrap up on around. Like that, and then like that, and then he's all good to go. You see the way... Is it a co-op run now? Now that you've listened to my suggestion? That was actually a deceptively hard screen, those two clams. Like, it doesn't look hard. And this one, I love the fact that you go for that. Okay, so there's two things that happened here. The clam screen was he skipped solving part of the puzzle, and he probably only had about 5 frames to make that jump to get past the last blob. And then those pink things that he shot, he had to get 3 bullets on each one of them and then immediately jump afterwards to not get sniped. And if he missed either of those things, he died. He died again as well because he got hit by a spike, but also if he'd missed those things on the pink blob things, he would have died as well. So Dave's going to go for, in the any % route, this is the only time you need to do this, but he's going to go for infinite oxygen skip. Normally what you would do is you would go top left, get your infinite oxygen tank back, and then go into the section that he's in right now. But if you edge close to the edge here, you can skip 2 cycles there. And you only need to skip 2. I shouldn't say most. 3 is most comfortable, but you need a minimum of 2 cycle skips with those like edge jumps in order to complete this section without reclaiming the infinite oxygen tank. I'm gonna see if he goes for a 3rd one. Ooh, there he goes. He went for 4, so he should probably exit this with about 12 to 15 seconds left on the timer, which is really, really good. Gave himself lots of opportunity to slow down if he gets a little bit out of sorts, I guess. But all of that, he had to edge to the end of those disappearing blocks. There you go. Yeah, like 10 seconds left. Lots of time. Lots of time. He had to edge to the end of those disappearing blocks, jump in, move right with about a 2-frame window, and then immediately die to the fan section right after, as is customary. It's a deceptively hard section, but it's probably the biggest time save in this game. It looks like nothing, but the infinite oxygen skip that he did probably saved about a minute. And it's really the only sequence break that we've found in this game thus far. These fans are kind of like, ooh, there you go. But yeah, resetting the room is probably the best way to do that. The fans are deceptively hard to deal with, especially when you have to use their momentum to jump over big gaps like that, because oftentimes the ceiling is so low or so tight that it's really easy to bonk your head and like not get enough height, not carry enough momentum. Oh, yeah, reset that room. You screwed that up. This is one of those ones where like you can just run through a screen if you do it immediately out the gate, or you'll die immediately if you even hesitate by a few frames. But skipping the infinite oxygen tank, it's the only sequence break in the game, and it saves close to a minute, so it's a pretty big deal. He's just about wrapped up reclaiming all of these items here, and then we're going to get into a miniature boss rush of the 2 final bosses. So I'm just going to make sure he's going to get those. And just as a warning, when both final bosses are defeated, there is a lot of flashing lights. So if you're photosensitive at all, maybe that's a great time to avert your eyes, just in case. Unfortunately, there isn't an easy way to tell when it's coming up, but the screen does flash quite aggressively, so just as a warning for you guys there. Yeah, what I do when I come out of these sections is I'll literally tell myself, great job, Dave, what's coming up so that I can preempt myself leading into big screens. But literally all he has left to do is the 2 final bosses. So this is Zed, who we haven't seen before. He's gonna freeze the screen and shoot lasers at you and try and jump on you. Dave's actually like genuinely killing this game. He's doing a great job. Zed also only has 4 patterns. Ooh, that's unfortunate. Ideally, you'd like to get the patterns where he doesn't freeze the screen. Again, because obviously not being able to attack him is less than ideal. The pattern he's giving Dave right now is one of the better ones. You'd like to see this one and the one where he swoops back and forth, which Dave just got there. And fewer of these ones where you have to just kind of hang out above them and can't do anything. Yeah, so what Zed's doing is he's spawning on your X position every time. With that one, and then with this one where he's jumping back and forth across the screen, he just follows the same patterns. So those are the ideal ones you kind of manipulate and you know where his position is going to be. I'm curious if Dave's going to go back for the checkpoint. We're going to wait and see. There's only one tiny little enemy between this and the next checkpoint. Will Dave go for it? Oh, he's going forward. Beautiful. If you die to this blob, Dave, I will laugh hysterically. Don't die. Oh man, if you'd been goofing off and that blob like jumped back up at you, it would have been hysterical. So so this is the final boss. This is the Supermech. This is a marathon of a fight. It has 4 or 5 different attacks. They're the same every time. So like the missiles there, they shoot in groups of 2. Oh, I'm so sorry. I actually forgot that this flashes as you load onto the boss as well. So again, warning, sorry that one came on late. But unfortunately, an NES game with a lot of flashing lights. So the missiles are tracking your position, and the moment that they get on the same Y coordinate as you, they're going to launch at you super fast. The lightning balls there, they kind of come out in two different patterns, like a crisscross kind of thing, where you kind of just have to manage them, and again, when they get on your X or Y position, they target you again. And then there's a green bullet thing that every bullet that shoots out targets exactly where you are, X and Y. There is a purple fire from the top of the screen that shoots down that you kind of just have to run away from, and that's actually the worst one. Or sorry, second worst one. Oh, wonderful job, Dave. That was actually a really good boss fight. There was a 5th attack that we didn't see that's a full screen clearing attack that you just have to hide in the corner from, and that's the absolute worst pattern. You did actually a really good job, Dave. Like, fantastic job. And yeah, Jafar, James, the missiles are incredibly fast. Everything in there is... It looks easy to deal with, and when you know what you're doing, it's easy to survive, but it's really hard to kill that boss fast and survive the way that Dave did. I think that was one of the best boss kills I've seen in a while. And that's time, 53:36-ish for Dave, which is actually an incredibly good run. That would put him 5th place on the leaderboards, if I remember correctly. The leaderboards have 6 people on them, so amazing job, Dave. Is that a PB for you? Like,
No, exactly.
Like, genuinely, is that a PB for you?
No.
No?
No, I had a 51, but like there was some horribleness there. Like I legitimately got lost.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. You after the frog tower, you went in the wrong direction. You went back to level 3.
Yes, we decided. But you know why? And I'll just say that really quickly, is like when I originally learned this, I routed it wrong because like I took everything from the record and what Rich was doing. And go back and look at the frog tower right before like the second checkpoint. Because while we were using the washroom, I used one of the most godlike strats and I nailed it. You didn't see it.
I didn't see it. Literally, I peed for like 40 seconds and I came back and you were done level 4. It was ridiculous. It was the best you played.